Welcome to Sunday Stories. I'm Michael Sanford. Over the next hour, we'll be sharing stories that celebrate the rich history, amazing people, and fascinating places throughout our region and beyond. We'll visit with artist Dr. Monica Crooks. Meet Liliana Ferrer, Consul General of Mexico in Sacramento. Explore the special bond between guide dogs and the people they're paired with. Join a virtual education tour for students hosted by a California State Park Ranger, and discover a local business whose owner learned to embrace her cultural roots and now teaches others the language and culture. But first, a look at how mental health is being addressed in schools, including a statewide online suicide prevention program that shows how to recognize the signs that someone may need help, and lessons teachers are creating that address stress and teach students coping strategies.
Suicide is the second leading cause of death for young people between the ages of 10 and 24. Noting this, the California legislature passed a new law in 2019 that provides funds for suicide prevention training for staff and students. The online training is provided by LivingWorks and made free to districts throughout California through a partnership with the San Diego County Office of Education. It's a 90-minute online training geared to staff and students in middle and high school.
Suicide is when pain overrides hope. So in all that we do with our young people and our educators is really, we need to instill hope in everything we do with youth. Everything we talk about needs to have elements of hope and positivity.
Heather Nemore is part of the team leading the effort and says it comes at a crucial time.
Pre-COVID, mental health was one of the biggest challenges that we were seeing among our students. And so anxiety, depression, suicide ideation, we're all very much on the radar for being a genuine concern for students being able to come to school and learn. Now that we're in COVID, one of the silver linings is that mental health has really risen to the top for all schools.
This clip from the online suicide prevention training demonstrates what it might look like if you have a student who is fidgety, unable to concentrate, and disengaging from regular activities. All signs he might be troubled.
What's up? Are you okay?
Yeah, no, I'm not feeling very good. I think I should go home.
Another headache? You had one last week.
I just can't concentrate. I really appreciate everything you've done for me. You've been really patient. Most people aren't. They just get frustrated and they give up. Anyway, I should go. Bye.
The training helps people react appropriately when they suspect someone might be suicidal.
What you learn in LivingWorks Start is if you're worried about suicide, you have to ask specifically about suicide. And so that's what we encourage teachers to do as well. Other warning signs that are a little bit more difficult perhaps to interpret are things like significant changes in behavior for students going from an A student to a C or a D student, or a really gregarious, outgoing student to a quiet, isolated student, or a non-risk-taking student who all of a sudden is taking all kinds of risks.
He also identified 4 groups as being at higher risk, including students who have lost a loved one to suicide, students with disabilities, mental health or substance abuse disorders, those experiencing homelessness or in foster care, and young people who identify as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or questioning. But even for those outside of those groups, there's so much added pressure right now.
It's creating a lot of isolation, disconnection from others, a disruption in their routines that they had. And then there are the students that are in home environments that are not fully positive or fully supportive. And so now they are suddenly in homes 24/7 where they might be experiencing domestic violence or other kinds of challenges.
The suicide prevention training also provides tools for students who may notice warning signs on social media or through texting.
You want a game? Zen and I are on and need a third. We're getting killed.
Don't really feel like it. Just wanted to say bye.
You're going offline for a bit?
Yeah, I guess. Thank you.
For what?
You were a good friend. Zen too. Bye.
Were? Why the past tense?
Students say these examples are eye-opening. Life is an 11th grader in Chula Vista who took the training.
It was really informative because it gave many different scenarios, and through videos, through text messages, real life and really realistic situations. So I think that going through those live simulations and being able to learn from those were really helpful, and it really helped me grow.
Life's training was part of a class taught by humanities teacher Andres Perez. He asked the students at the start of the 2020 school year what topic they most wanted to focus on, and their answer? Mental health.
Over and over again, students were telling me that they were more anxious than usual, feeling more depressed than usual. I had students asking to check in, which as a teacher is always something you're excited to hear about. But of course, when it's happening so much more often than usual, I knew right away something was up. And I thought that was just another sign that students just wanted someone to connect with.
In response, he designed a 6-week unit focused on mental health. It concluded with students creating projects that could be shared in the community. For her final project, Life held a socially distant event at a park with the goal of directing attention to the mental health needs of people of color.
It was a guided meditation, and it was around Black Lives Matter and Black brain health, the one that we played. And then we also had the singers perform, and we sold art from local artists around the community, and all of the proceeds went to the Black Mental Health Alliance. I come from a very diverse background, with my family being Black, white, Hispanic, all of that kind of stuff. So seeing it directly in my own community, it really makes me realize that there needs to be a change and there needs to be more improvements in that field.
Other students in the class created projects like awareness posters with QR codes that provided people with information on how to get help, and short films like this one created by 11th grader Carlos.
Say, for example, you see a dark, shadowy figure in your house at night. When our brains go into a state of panic, the amygdala, the part of the brain that controls emotions, wants us to get out of harm's way at all costs.
Carlos says the goal of his film is to educate others about anxiety.
Being in a constant state of anxiety because of COVID-19 and not knowing what's going to happen, how this is going to look like in a year or two, or not feeling in control is something that is very bad for us, because being in a state of anxiety for multiple months drains you and leaves you depressed, because anxiety, when it comes, it's there to give you a burst of energy and go into a fight or flight response. But being in a state of anxiety for several months, well, it kind of just drains all of your energy. So my aim for my short film was to kind of give one of the tactics that I learned about, that I researched, and that really helped me, which was to find small things that we are in control of and to just focus on those things.
Experts say Carlos's message is exactly right and can offer tips to everyone on how to best manage stress.
We're in such uncertain times. What is helpful to try to identify what are the things that I can control, because so much is out of our control right now. And so things that you can control, we tell them, are, what you eat every day. Are you taking frequent breaks? Are you moving your body? Are you practicing self-care? And, do you have a web of support? Do you have other people you can reach out to when you are feeling upset or stressed? Pretty much 97% of the time you can say, right now, right here, everything is okay.
Andres Perez says he's proud of the work his students put into their projects, but he remains concerned about the mental health impacts of remote learning amid this pandemic.
For students right now, so many are not turning in work because they are stressed, because they are focused on taking care of their family, because they just don't know how to one, they're trying to exist during a pandemic. Two, they're trying to compartmentalize all these new emotions they've never experienced before. Three, they're just a teenager and they're dealing with those new emotions. And having school as a priority in that, where does it go? It definitely doesn't go first. And I understand that. I tell my students there are things that are so much more important than your schoolwork. At the same time, I want to make sure that they're not missing out on an opportunity to learn and to grow, so that they can go on to college, they can go on to fulfill their dreams for themselves and their family. So it is affecting their schoolwork, and that's something that's concerning for me. But I think that's why mental health is such a great unit to start the year with, because it's now a conversation that we've broached and that now we can always go back to. Anytime they're not getting their work turned in, my first question to them is always, well, have you been practicing your coping strategy? Have you been making sure to play the guitar? Have you been exercising like it's a goal of yours? Have you been connecting with friends and family? Because if you're not doing that, it's going to be a lot harder to get those other things completed.
Coping strategies are key to good mental health. For 11th grader Devry, she learned about journaling as a coping strategy in Mr. Perez's class.
It's just a small activity that I like to do and write down how my day went, how I'm feeling, and just events that happened in the day. And it was a really good stress reliever for me. It just gave me some time to slow down and just write down whatever was on my mind. And it was just super beneficial for me. And ever since I started doing that, I've just been feeling better about myself.
Did they give you other strategies besides journaling, other ideas that you can do to kind of center yourself?
Yeah, so it's different for every person, but some ideas are like dancing, like physical exercise. You can also do mindfulness and kind of just doing what you enjoy doing and what makes you feel relaxed. So like going outside, taking a walk, spending time with your pets, something that'll make you relaxed and help you cope with your emotions.
We always say we haven't done our job until people, can talk about mental health, and it's just as socially accepted as it is talking about physical health. And if somebody is sick, if somebody has cancer, we go help them. We bring them food. We call and check on them. But if somebody has a mental health challenge, we other them. Like it's those other people, not us. But we all have mental health challenges. We all have mental health.
My students have just surprised me over and over again with how willing they are to share their own struggles, whether they're currently in therapy, whether they're currently feeling anxious or feeling depressed. So I hope more teachers and more students are willing to broach this topic that sometimes we may feel a little bit awkward broaching into, but I promise that so many students are ready and willing and excited to talk about this because it's on their mind and it's something that they want to be discussing.
It's so important that students and teachers are having conversations around suicide awareness, self-care, and mental health. This next story introduces us to Dr. Monica Crooks and the journey that has led her to express that Black and beautiful are synonymous in her art.
There is an unmistakable connection between art and its impact on society, including how we interact with, gain a better understanding of, and generate conversations through art. It can all lead to gaining greater influence from and empathy for others.
Because sometimes art is powerful when it communicates a message. It's not a bright, cheery, just a pretty picture. There's a purpose for all of it. And up to this point in time, this is just what I've done.
Many perceptions of beauty are guided by the prevailing culture. Through her artistry and dentistry, Dr. Monica Crooks creates, expands, preserves, and redefines the norms of how we view culture and beauty through art.
I paint things that are uplifting and beautiful and bold and colorful and bright and free, and hopefully things that would bring joy to the person viewing them. I think that if I were to distill what I do down, what I paint is beauty, period. That's what I try to depict in everything that I paint. So, am I preserving anything? Yes, beauty. And they happen to be beautiful Black faces right now.
Dr. Monica Crook's art shows an undeniable look at beauty in its many forms, while also discovering her own reflection of beauty within her work.
I like doing faces. And I used to do faces of women. And my dad said to me, he says, why are you always drawing white faces? He said that. He says, why do you always draw white people? I don't know. I didn't know at the time. I think now, in retrospect, it's because it was a time in history. I used magazines for my subject matter, and magazines did not depict pictures of Black anybody. I was trying to think of what is unifying about us as African Americans. It's not really skin color, because we run the gamut from Snow White to, ebony black. But probably the thing that is most unifying is hair texture. We all have different hair, so no two African Americans have the same type of hair either. That's another thing, but some people have the ability to sculpt their hair. And I mean, cut it into shapes. I mean, Grace Jones was famous for that. These big angular shapes that she could create. And the hair it's like weightless. It just stands on it and you can do things with it, which is amazing. So the other reason that I wanted to do that show is some of us, and I'm going to say myself included, didn't grow up proud of our hair. When I grew up, I wanted that hair that my little friends could roll out of bed, shake their hair, and just go. And my hair wasn't like that, because my hair had a mind of its own, and how it was going to look that day very much depended upon the weather. I want people to see Black and beauty as synonymous, just like any other race is, okay? No one is better or worse than the other. There are beautiful and less beautiful in every genre of everything in the world, okay? But I embrace the opportunity to paint beautiful Black faces.
Beauty can be defined as a combination of qualities of shape, color, and form, to senses, intellect, and even an attractiveness of feminine and masculine traits. Within every piece Dr. Crooks creates, she captures the many expressions and representations of beauty that can sometimes be overlooked.
I think it's beautiful to call attention to it, and it's beautiful to be able to say that beauty doesn't have one definition.
Dr. Crook says art helps us to define who we are, or perhaps what we hope to represent as human beings.
It is an expression of who we are as a people, human beings. I mean, an expression of our existence on this earth, and its representation of that experience. The human spirit is not limited. People are always surprised, oh, you can do this. Is there anything you can't do? No, there's nothing I can't do if I put my mind and my passion behind it. And this is true for everybody. I happened, thankfully, to have been raised by parents who instilled that in me from the time I can remember. You can do anything. If anyone else can do it in this world, you can do it too. I mean, there's nothing really pastel about my work. It's bright, colorful, strong. It's layers and layers of color on top of color. It's uninhibited, it's free, it's unafraid. Because, I mean, with paint, if you don't like it, just paint over it. It's no big deal. It's fearless. It's accidental discoveries in life and embracing them, and then seeing how far you can run with it. I don't happen to believe in reincarnation. I think we got one time on this planet, one shot, and then I want to graduate on to bigger and better things. And I want to squeeze everything I can out of this existence. So maybe my art is a reflection of that.
We look forward to more expressions of Dr. Crook's passions in her art. We're heading to Mexico for our next story, the Mexican consulate in Sacramento, that is, for an interview with the Consul General, Liliana Ferrer.
I'm so thrilled to welcome Consul General Liliana Ferrer. It's good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us, Consul General.
Thank you, Rob, for inviting me. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Your work has taken you from Paris to Washington to Harvard, Mexico City, and now you have a massive position in California. Tell us about your role as the Consul General and with the Consulate General's office.
Of course. Thank you, Rob. It's, I think, in my 30-year spanning career as a career Foreign Service officer for the Mexican government, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, being the Consul General of Mexico in Sacramento is very much the highest honor and the greatest privilege I can have. Why? Because we are neighbors, we are siblings, we are family. We are strategic partners in many ways, culturally, historically, trade-wise. Mexico is your first trading partner, but also because we have such a large diaspora in California. As you know, we are the largest majority in the United States, 37 million Hispanics, most of them Mexican. A third of them make California their home. And we are also the country that has the largest network of consulates of any country in the world in one host country, 50 in the US, 10 of them alone in California. And
Wow.
I'm the northernmost consulate, and I have 1 million nationals. So there is much work that is being done every day at these offices, not only helping safeguard and protect the rights of Mexicans, but also working very closely with California authorities and civil society in strengthening this very important and strategic relationship that we have.
You have a very interesting path, if you will, related also to your father's. Tell me about that. Did your father have this same position?
Yes, he did. My father was also a career Foreign Service officer for the Mexican government. So was my grandfather, my mother's dad. And I was privileged to learn at a very young age how wonderful it was to represent your country around the world, to engage in different relationships, to learn about different cultures, to meet very, very interesting individuals that also represented their countries and other foreign services. But
Give me a
also,
story from your child. Do you remember, like from your childhood? What are some that stick with you that said, "Aha, I want to do that"?
well, let me tell you that my grandfather was mostly posted in this hemisphere. He was posted in Canada, in Venezuela, Panama, Jamaica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Costa Rica. My father was posted in countries, Jamaica, Bolivia, but Cuba, but countries such as Algeria, Ethiopia, Ghana, West Africa, what was then known as Yugoslavia, for example. And my childhood was spent in West Africa, in Accra, Ghana, and just the ability to immerse yourself and to know that we're all brothers and sisters, regardless of what location of the planet you're from. And that, again, going back to your comment on the beauty and the importance of learning about each other, when you learn and you dive a little bit into the culture of others, you will see what a beautiful experience it is. So I feel very close to countries like Ghana. I feel very close to countries like Ethiopia, one of the most ancient civilizations.
You have this energy that is so enlightened, and it is so peaceful, and it has this lens on life that is so reassuring. And I think in my opinion, it's because of everywhere you've been, you bring that with you, and you know the beauty that this world can be if we all just loved each other in the way that you were able to do growing up. It's as if you have this golden nugget inside of you from everywhere that you've lived and experienced. And I just wish that for everybody.
Well, that's very kind, Rob. Very kind words. Thank you. I think that the bottom line is also that the more you travel and the more you engage in learning and trying to understand other countries and other peoples, you also are able to see not only the beauty in them, as you have stated, but you also are able to see the challenges that are faced in other countries, including Mexico and the United States. Of course, we each have our own challenges. And by challenges, I mean countries like Ethiopia, tremendous poverty and misery, and disease, but also the beauty and the richness of the culture. In Mexico, also, we have some serious challenges, again, as I said, as we do here. So when you are confronted by these challenges, I think you are driven to do your best at contributing and trying to help resolve these very challenging issues in our planet.
Because you've seen what hard work does. I mean, you the reason I think that it is so productive, what you do, is because you've seen that you truly can, each one can reach one. You can make a difference.
Exactly. And I think that is the beauty of public service, and the Foreign Service is public service. Being able to contribute today, for example, during COVID-19, 2020-21, to helping the community. I'm very proud to say that for the last 6 months, the Mexican consulate has been offering COVID-19 tests to the public at large, not only Mexican nationals, for free, no questions asked, no appointment necessary. But as of March 8th, 2021, we're also very proud to say that the Mexican consulate opened a vaccine site, another vaccine site in the Sacramento area for vulnerable communities. And we soon will be engaging in vaccine sites, pop-up clinics throughout the agricultural valley to aid essential workers as well.
I love hearing that. I love hearing that.
Those are just examples of things that you can do. And now that we're in March 2021, celebrating as of March 8th, International Women's Day, I can't resist but also share one of the most important quotes, and one of the last quotes that Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg shared with us, that there's, I think, a responsibility in each and every one of us in engaging and doing our best to do something beyond the responsibilities that we have every day in our work or our home. We should all try to do something more and go beyond a sense of duty to our community, to helping others in any way that we can.
Thank you for joining us from the consulate in Sacramento. It's great to see you as always.
Thank you for allowing me to share a little bit about my life, which is a little bit about Mexico and a little bit of what Mexicans are.
Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you, Ron.
You're welcome.
More of Rob's interview with the Consul General can be seen in the Extras section at kvie.org/Sunday Stories. Next, there's a whole lot of furry cuteness, a story with dogs and puppies. And while the puppies will likely have you cooing, there's a lot more than your average human-canine relationship to this story. We explore the deep bond between a guide dog and the person they're assisting.
I was born with retinitis pigmentosa. Basically, it's a degenerative condition of the retina. And I've always been legally blind.
However, being blind has not stopped Janice from living a full life. She received a bachelor's degree and established a successful career.
I felt very accomplished. I'd say that the only thing that I was lacking was independence, and the guide dog is what gave me all that. Put your edge collar on? Yeah, you ready to go? You ready to go? Now I gotta get my back. My guide dog now is Vargo, and he's my 4th dog. He's just amazing. He loves his job. He just loves everything about being a working dog, you can just tell.
Good boy, Vargo. Forward.
He's everything that I want in a guide dog, which is he's driven, he takes initiative. You have that confidence to go out and do things on your own, run errands around the neighborhood.
Hello. Hi, Janice. How are you?
I'm good. How about you?
Good.
Go beyond your own neighborhood. I always feel like if I get into trouble, if I start to get lost, I just reach down and you know, touch him on the head or his back, and he just gives me comfort and, okay, we're in this together, we'll figure this out. You put your life into their hands. You know, basically, every time you go out of the house with them.
Let's wait for the bus. See? Wait for the bus here.
Having a guide dog has changed my life a lot. It's in looking back that you really realize how my life has changed and how it evolved through getting that first guide dog and not knowing what the possibilities were going to be for me. I had gotten my first guide dog in 1994 from Guide Dogs for the Blind in San Rafael. Mine was Naples. We really clicked, Naples and I.
That team bond does take time, and every single time there's always a touch of magic that goes into that pairing. Something that we never in a million years could have thought about, but it's there and it makes the bond unique. The creation of a guide dog is a huge process. It actually starts at the DNA level. We breed our own dogs. Approximately 900 puppies are born every year here on our San Rafael campus. The first 10 weeks of life are critically important for the development of a dog, similar to the first 3 years of life for a human. Basically, the foundation for who you will become is set. So, what we're doing on our campus is exposing our puppies to as much of the world as we can. We want them to hear loud noises, different surfaces, play, lots of different people, lots of touch. We have this wonderful position here called Cuddler, and that starts that process so that that foundation is set. In order to be a guide dog, you have to be able to focus. You have to have confidence, but not dominance. What it also takes to be a guide dog, believe it or not, is you have to learn to be able to walk in a straight line. Now, not all dogs can do that. You have to relinquish all trust to the guide dog. So you as a person have to allow your dog to make the decisions for you.
The first time I got to actually walk with a guide dog was a pretty amazing experience. It was scary, it was exhilarating, because you were walking faster than you ever had walked on your own. And you just start thinking, you know, this is a dog's guiding me. How does this is kind of scary. How do I trust him? You know, and that's what you're doing, building that trust and building that partnership. Naples and I never skipped a beat, and it was Naples that gave me that confidence.
It's wonderful to see that incredible bond between our clients and our guides, and everything that our clients accomplish because of that bond.
Naples helped me to grow and to say, I want more out of life, and I can do more than I'm doing here. So it was just what I needed.
Janice got the courage to start a new life with her loyal companion by her side. She eventually found love. She met Courtney, and they married in 2002. And it was Courtney who introduced Janice to the sport of archery.
Because Courtney loves the sport so much, I thought, I want to try and do that, see what it's like.
She doesn't let anything hold her back. You know, here is a visually impaired person shooting archery. She was the pioneer. 18, 19 years ago, she got up there and she started shooting, and we had a crowd behind us that was just couldn't believe what we're doing.
Janice became the first blind archer in the U.S. to compete at a national level. Today, she's a world-class competitive archer, currently holding both world and national records in archery for the visually impaired. And all of this probably would not have happened if it wasn't for her dog, Naples.
Come on, Naples. Go.
I had Naples for 10 years, and he passed away in 2004. When I lost Naples, that was my first experience. It's like you just feel like you've lost your right hand, your right arm. There's just something missing in just the hole in your heart. You need that dog. You want that independence back that you had. So I went back 3 months later, and it was very difficult for me because I wasn't through grieving for Naples.
The puppy raiser. She said he has white on his, over his shoulders. She called them his angel wings because his coloring over his shoulders is lighter, I guess, than the rest.
I think dogs are a special gift from God. They're amazing creatures, so we're very fortunate.
Got you. I got you.
It's amazing to me what a guide dog is capable of. I still don't quite get how they do what they do. It's always a mystery, and I really can't believe that they're there and doing this for us.
Every team that we graduate, we really believe that we're helping to change the world in a positive way. They make the world a better place, and they make us better people because of it.
I'm just a person who's blind and wants to participate in life as fully as I can. And a guide dog helps me do that in a big way.
What a great story. We wish Janice and Vargo the best. For our next story, we head to Calaveras County and join a virtual learning tour hosted by the California State Parks that introduces students to parks across the state.
Welcome, first graders, room 7, Calaveras Big Trees State Park.
Park Ranger Jenny Camperta loves talking with kids about the giant sequoias and other flora and fauna at Calaveras Big Trees State Park. In the past, these first graders might have discovered these gentle giants on an actual field trip. But here, the experience has gone virtual, thanks to an ambitious effort by California State Parks. It's called PORTS, Parks Online Resources for Teachers and Students.
We're spending the next 40 minutes or so learning all about these trees. We're gonna read a story. We're gonna take a short little nature walk, and we're gonna have lots and lots of fun. It's very hard to come into the Sierra Nevada. They don't have the ability to go anywhere right now, especially during pandemic. So I'm planting that seed of these trees. These trees are extremely rare. They're California natives. They don't grow everywhere. So they get to have that in their hearts now.
The state park's Porch program actually started in 2004, but with COVID closing hundreds of schools and forcing kids to learn from home, the need for and use of live remote learning has skyrocketed. Thankfully, advances in technology have made it much easier for teachers, parents, and kids to use and fully participate in free learning opportunities like this one.
So first graders, what would be the biggest animal we would find here at Calaveras Big Tree State Park in the mountains and the forests of California? What would be the biggest? It's like this big. It has big paws, really big paws.
Bear! Bear!
Bear! And you are correct, first graders. The black bear.
I've only seen small trees, and I've never seen big trees like that. So it makes me want to see how tall that tree is in real life.
I was very proud of everybody for participating and asking and sharing their thoughts. That's a big deal for 6 and 7-year-olds to do that.
Amy Dido is a first grade teacher at Short Avenue Elementary School. She's such an enthusiastic supporter of the program, she signed her students up for multiple sessions. The first at Hearst Castle she described as magical and special, while Big Trees gave her Los Angeles students a look at trees and snow they may have never experienced in person before.
This will definitely be part of something moving forward. Whether we're COVID or not, virtual field trips will be a part of my curriculum and a part of our learning, because we have a lot of access in Los Angeles, but we could never visit Hearst Castle. We could never go to the Sequoias. So now, we can do that.
What's a footless, long, short animal? That's dangerous.
Snake. Rattlesnake. I thought today's field trip was 2 thumbs up.
As a program presenter, Jenny Camperda figures she's connected with classrooms in almost every state, even internationally. Program manager Brad Cray estimates 200,000 students and teachers will use this free service over the 2021 school year, almost a 4-fold yearly increase from before the pandemic. 40 state parks offer a wide variety of live remote classroom experiences. Nature programs like the one at Anza Borrego Desert State Park, Bodie, Columbia, and Sutter's Fort State Historic Parks. Even unexpected experiences like stately Hearst Castle or underwater in Monterey Bay.
These content experts are park interpreters. They are educators, the ones that know and love and care about it. They're scientists, they're historians, they're the storytellers of these resources. They have access to them.
Good morning, everyone.
This has really kind of shaken out to be, I think, one of the best ways possible to use education technology, video communications, and put it in unique locations, because people deserve access to their California state parks.
We're really lucky to live in California. We have the best trees on earth right in our state. It means the world to me. This is why I do what I do. It's like so important that these kids get to see more of California beyond their backyard, beyond their neighborhood, beyond what they're used to. Expanding their world and showing them what is out there. Thank you for coming, and I hope one day you can come and visit the trees in person.
Thank you. Thank you.
As Ranger Jenny said, how lucky are we to live in California? And finally today, the story of Casa de Español, a learning space created by owner Maria Harrington for folks to live and love the Spanish language and celebrate the cultures of Spanish-speaking countries.
There was one point, it was about 4 weeks into the pandemic. We didn't know if we were going to be able to continue. But my husband said, if Casa dies, it will be a noble death. And for me, I took solace in that. We've done everything we can, and if this doesn't work out, well, we'll just have to figure something else out. And I think we've been extremely fortunate being able to continue to do our mission, which is having a space for people to live and love the language.
Casa de Español is a school for all ages to learn the Spanish language. It's also a place to celebrate the cultures of Latin America and Spain. Prior to the pandemic, they hosted cultural events, summer camps, as well as overseas trips to Spanish-speaking countries.
That was the goal from the beginning with Casa de Español. We wanted to have that place for people who wanted to learn Spanish, as well as people who are native Spanish speakers, to really come together and exchange language as well as cultures. We want to make sure you feel a part of the community and a part of something.
Bienvenidos a todos. We're all very welcome here to Casa de Español.
Not only do you run the business, but you're one of the teachers, right?
Yes, I am one of the teachers. We have at the moment 6 teachers from different backgrounds. We have one teacher from Cuba, another one from Colombia, a couple of us are from Mexico, and we have a couple other from various parts of Latin America. So that way students get the opportunity to really have an authentic worldview of what speaking Spanish is. I think that the most surprising thing as a teacher in general is how much you learn from your students. I tell my students every session that really I'm the one learning more from them than they are from me. But I think that it's a calling that is really special to be able to share learning, teaching, being a better person. And the fact that I'm able to do that with my culture and be not only an instructor of the culture, but also a representation of the culture, that's really special to me.
Just briefly, give me a little background on yourself.
I was born originally in Mexico. My mom is from Mexico, my dad is from the United States. When I was about 8-9 months old, we were able to come here to the United States. So I grew up basically in Sacramento, California. I was always between countries. So I really had both languages and also both cultures because my father, he's not of Latino descent. So he always spoke to me in English. My mom always spoke to me in Spanish. There was a long moment where I didn't really understand that there were 2 languages, but as I got older and I started to see how other people spoke, I realized that I had a wider vocabulary. And so that was my first experience with being multilingual and cultural.
However, Maria stopped speaking Spanish for many years due to an incident that happened to her at a young age.
I was told when I started kindergarten that if I continued to speak Spanish and I continued to be in both cultures, that I would never really learn how to speak English correctly. I was told that I would never be a real American if I continued with both. And it was my principal who had told me this. It was a shock for me to hear someone who I respected so much to say that. Once 6th, 7th grade hit, all of a sudden, I found other people who were of Latino background and they spoke Spanish and I couldn't anymore.
How much did that play a role in what you're doing today?
I think that that's something that's been always in the back of my mind of wanting to make sure that other people don't have that experience, that they're proud of it, because number one, it's not true. Right, but the other thing is that it's making children and people suppress something that who they are. It's their identity. And no matter how much you try and suppress it, it's you. That kind of began my quest. And that's really what empowered me later on in life to get my degree in Spanish. And I got my master's in Latin American Studies. So it's kind of been this whole process of really finding my own identity within it.
Maria went on to become a Spanish teacher in the Bay Area. It was during this time she met her husband, who happened to be from Sacramento as well. The two of them decided to return to their hometown to start a new chapter together. It was then when Maria came up with her business idea. She founded Casa de Español in 2011.
You got to be proud of what you've accomplished. How did you make this dream, this business dream, a reality?
It's just true grit. You just make it happen somehow. And more than anything, I just learned how to work really hard. My dad was an inspiration, and my mom as well has been a real inspiration of that. My dad was a small business owner, and then my mom, she was a bilingual education teacher. So I ended up now being both.
Maria also attributes much of her success to local business associations, such as the Capital Region's Small Business and Development Center, who provided her with a business mentor.
I think that this is something that's very key and pivotal, and not only that, something that a lot of minority business owners don't know that exists. It gives you a breath, right? That extra breath that you need when someone calls you and says, Maria, I think that your business could do this, or you would be a good candidate for this, or how are you doing today? Are you surviving? I mean, it's such a wonderful community to be in Sacramento and be a small business owner, and I think that that's been huge and key for us.
With the help of these associations, Casa de Español became an integral part of the Sacramento community. What started out as a mere 25 students grew to several hundred students of all ages. And after being in business close to 10 years, 2020 was looking good.
And then all of a sudden, like for everybody, right, it was kind of like a blow. We saw like a drastic drop. We actually lost about 28% of our student enrollment for adults. Then summer hit, and we still weren't able to be in class or in person. And that was a huge hit for us, the loss of our summer camps. You don't know how far or how long it's gonna last. It was really, really difficult, and something difficult to struggle with.
How did you guys pivot?
We were told to go home, I think, on Wednesday. And then that weekend, we had to set up a whole program online for students to be able to access. We didn't sleep that weekend or the next probably 3-4 weeks where it was just constant all weekend trying to figure it out. We got everything up online and we started the classes.
Buenas tardes, profesora.
Buenas tardes. ¿Cómo estás, Donna?
So tell me about that challenge of trying to teach a different language remotely now.
Teaching remotely has been very interesting. I think that the biggest thing that's different is the feel of being within a community that you're doing it together. There's a certain energy that you have, and something that I really look for is that feeling of comfort and that we're all going to get to the next level together. And so creating that and building that community online, that was difficult.
Not only are the classes online, but so too are their events.
We've done a cooking class.
So you could also add in different elements.
An art class, book reading. People, whether they're stuck at home or when they're not stuck at home, they're searching for that opportunity to be able to enjoy other cultures. So we're excited to be able to offer that because, again, it's a community. A lot of our students have mentioned how much they miss going to Casa. Knowing that gives you the strength to go on, that what you do and what you offer is something that's very personal and important for other people, and it's okay, we're doing it for a reason, keep going, keep going. I think that no one is an island, and having connections to people who really care has gotten me through. And I think that that's kind of what it looked like with a pandemic. everyone kind of got together, you know, and tried to find those connections. I'm just so proud to be part of a wonderful community that has figured things out as best we can together. That fact motivates me to continue. It makes me feel comfortable and happy and excited for the future. And the support that Casa de Español has received from so many people, we're just so appreciative. In the hard times, I just keep thinking and repeating in my head, sí se puede, Sacramento. Just keep going, we're gonna do it together, and we're just so happy to be a part of you.
Maria's story of finding herself and then parlaying her love of her culture into a successful business is inspiring. We wish her and Casa de Español continued success. And that's it for today. I'm Michael Sanford. It's been a pleasure being a part of your Sunday. We hope you've enjoyed today's stories and that you'll be back for another episode of Sunday Stories. Until then, have a great week.